Kody, I loved the conversation when you stopped by my house the other day and we talked for like an hour. It was a good...
Welcome back to the Life with the Browns. It didn't start with shouting. It didn't start with a fight. It started with silence, the kind of silence that hides something dangerous underneath. A quiet Thursday afternoon settled over Flagstaff, the kind of day that felt too still, too ordinary to hold anything life-changing. But inside that former Brown family home, something was about to break open, something that had been buried for years. Christine wasn't there to reflect on memories. She wasn't there to cry over what once was. That chapter of her life was already closing. She was there for one reason only, to collect what little remained of her past and walk away for good. The guest room felt different. Colder. Heavier. The faint smell of old perfume mixed with dust lingered in the air, like a ghost of the life she once lived. Boxes were scattered across the floor, half filled with forgotten pieces of a broken family. Christine moved quickly, methodically. No hesitation. No emotion. Until something strange happened. As she pulled a heavy cabinet away from the wall, a sharp click echoed in the quiet room. She froze. A hidden drawer, locked, forgotten, never meant to be opened, suddenly slid loose. Christine stared at it. For a moment, she considered ignoring it, walking away, leaving the past exactly where it belonged. But something in her gut told her not to. Slowly, she knelt down and pulled the drawer open. Inside was a thick manila envelope. Plain. Unmarked, except for one line written across the front, Family Holdings LLC, Private. Her breath caught. The words felt wrong. Too formal. Too distant. Too unfamiliar. Christine frowned as she pulled the envelope out, her fingers tightening slightly around its edges. She had never heard of this before. Not once. Not in all the years of marriage, filming, business decisions. Nothing. So why was her name inside it? She opened it. The sound of paper shifting echoed louder than it should have in the silent room. Page after page unfolded in her hands, legal language, signatures, clauses, all tightly bound together into something that felt official and dangerous. Her eyes moved faster now. Her heart started racing. This wasn't just paperwork. This was a 2-year-old LLC agreement, one that claimed full control over every dollar tied to the sister wives' empire. Show income, book deals, brand partnerships, everything. Christine's stomach dropped. Only 2 names had actually signed it. Kody and Robin. Her fingers trembled slightly as she turned the page, and that's when everything changed. There it was. Her name. Signed. Perfectly placed, like she had willingly agreed to all of it. But she hadn't. Not this. Not ever. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Because she knew something instantly, something cold, sharp, and undeniable. That wasn't her signature. And if hers was fake, how many others were too? The room suddenly felt suffocating. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't just a mistake. This was something much darker. Something deliberate. Something that pointed to betrayal, on a level she had never imagined. Christine didn't think anymore. She shoved the entire folder into her purse, her hands moving fast now, almost shaking. And without looking back, she walked out of the house. Because deep down, she already knew this wasn't the end of her story. This was the beginning of a war. Christine didn't remember the drive. The road from her old home to Janelle's place in Flagstaff blurred past in streaks of gray and sunlight, like time itself had sped up just to keep up with the storm inside her chest. Her hands gripped the steering wheel tighter than usual. Her mind kept replaying the same image over and over again, her name, signed on a document she had never seen. By the time she pulled into Janelle's driveway, she wasn't just confused anymore. She was angry. Not loud, explosive anger. No, this was something quieter, colder. The kind of anger that builds when truth finally clicks into place. Christine didn't knock. She walked straight in. Janelle looked up from the kitchen, surprised. The distance between them had been growing for months now. Conversations had become shorter. Visits had become rare. But the moment she saw Christine's face, she knew something was wrong. Christine? No greeting. No small talk. Christine reached into her purse and dropped the thick envelope onto the table. We have a problem. Janelle frowned, wiping her hands slowly as she stepped closer. What is this? Just read it. There was something in Christine's voice, something urgent, something broken, that made Janelle stop asking questions. She opened the envelope. The room fell silent. Page after page turned slowly, the sound of paper slicing through the air like a ticking clock. Janelle didn't speak at first. Her expression stayed neutral, but her eyes began to narrow. Then tighten. Then darken. Minutes passed. Finally, she leaned back slightly, exhaling a breath she didn't realize she was holding. He used our names. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Christine nodded slowly. And I think he forged them. The words hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Janelle looked back down at the document, flipping through it again, faster this time, more aggressively. She stopped on the signature page, staring hard at the names listed. Her name, Mary's name, Christine's name, all signed, all fake. He created a company, Janelle said slowly, trying to process it. A whole company, controlling everything tied to the sister wives, and didn't tell us. Christine's jaw tightened. Not just didn't tell us. He made it look like we agreed. That's when it shifted. This wasn't about a broken marriage anymore. This wasn't about jealousy, favoritism, or emotional distance. This was something else entirely. Something legal. Something dangerous. Janelle sat up straighter now, her voice more focused. We need to show this to Mary. Christine hesitated for a second. Mary had always been the most loyal. The last one to fully let go of Kody. If anyone was going to defend him, it would be her. Still, she deserves to know, Christine said firmly. Later that evening, the three of them sat together for the first time in months. The tension in the room was thick. Mary looked between them, cautious. I don't want this to turn into another attack on Kody, she said carefully. We've all been through enough. Christine didn't argue. She just slid the document across the table. Then read it. Mary picked it up. At first, her expression didn't change. She scanned the pages calmly, like she expected to prove them wrong. But then she reached the signature page. And everything stopped. Her fingers froze. Her eyes locked onto her name. Signed. Perfect. Convincing. Fake. Mary's hand began to shake. That's not my writing, her voice cracked. She looked up slowly, her face pale now. No, that's not mine. Silence swallowed the room. 3 women. 3 signatures. None of them real. Christine leaned forward slightly, her voice steady now. He and Robin created this behind our backs. Janelle added quietly, and they've been controlling all the money through it. Mary blinked rapidly, trying to process it all. This means, she whispered. Christine didn't let her finish. It means they didn't just lie to us. A pause. Her eyes hardened. It means they may have committed fraud. And in that moment, something finally broke. Not just trust. Not just loyalty. But the last illusion holding them together as a family. Because now, it wasn't about love anymore. It was about truth. And the truth was about to take them somewhere none of them were ready for court. The word fraud didn't leave the room. It stayed there, heavy, suffocating, impossible to ignore. For a long moment, none of them spoke. Mary sat frozen, still staring at the document like it might suddenly change if she looked long enough. But it didn't. The signature was still there. Still wrong. Still fake. Janelle was the first to move. She pushed her chair back slightly, her voice calmer now, but sharper. This isn't something we can just talk through, she said. This is legal. Christine nodded immediately. I already know. Mary looked between them, still shaken. You really think he would go that far? Christine didn't hesitate this time. I think he already did. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't confusion. It was realization. The next morning, everything changed. Christine didn't waste time. Within hours, she was sitting across from a woman known for one thing, winning cases people thought were impossible. Her name was Dana Meeks. Sharp, focused, unemotional. Exactly what they needed. Dana flipped through the LLC documents slowly, her eyes scanning every line, every clause, every signature. She didn't react at first, and somehow, that made it worse. Finally, she stopped. "This is bad." Janelle leaned forward. "How bad?" Dana tapped the signature page. "There's no notarization." Christine frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," Dana said plainly, "these signatures were never officially verified." Legally, that already puts this entire document into question. Mary swallowed hard. But Dana wasn't done. She turned a few pages back and pointed to a specific clause. "This part right here," she said. "Distribution rights." Christine leaned closer, trying to understand. Dana continued, her tone now more serious. "This clause gives full control of all revenue streams, show income, brand deals, royalties, to the primary holders of the LLC." Janelle's eyes widened. "Which are?" Dana looked up. "Kody and Robin." The room went still. Christine felt it again, that cold wave of realization crashing over her. Everything they had worked for. Every episode. Every deal tied to sister wives. All of it, controlled by just two people. Without their knowledge. Without their consent. "That's not just unfair," Dana added quietly. "That's actionable." Janelle blinked. "Actionable, as in?" Dana met her eyes directly. "You can sue." The word hit differently this time. Sue. Not argue. Not confront. Not fix. Destroy. Mary shifted in her seat, clearly overwhelmed. "This is a lot. I mean, this is still Kody we're talking about." Christine turned to her, her voice softer, but firm. "No. This is someone who used our names without permission and took control of everything we built." Janelle nodded. "This isn't family anymore." A beat. "This is business." Dana closed the folder and folded her hands together. "If what you're saying is true," she said carefully, "this could involve multiple legal violations." Christine didn't look away. "Like what?" Dana listed them calmly. "Forgery. Financial misrepresentation. Misappropriation of assets." Each word landed heavier than the last. Mary looked down at her hands. Janelle leaned back, exhaling slowly. Christine stayed still. Because deep down, she already knew. This wasn't going away. "And there's more," Dana added. All three women looked up. "If money that legally belonged to you was redirected without your knowledge, especially over a long period of time," she paused. "This case could escalate very quickly." Christine's voice was quiet now. "How quickly?" Dana didn't sugarcoat it. "Fast enough to end up in court." That was the moment everything became real. Not emotional. Not personal. Legal. Official. Public. Christine thought about the years she had spent building that life. The sacrifices, the cameras, the moments she gave to the world. And now it all felt like it had been taken from her behind closed doors. Janelle clenched her jaw. "We've been sidelined for years." Mary closed her eyes briefly. "But Christine?" Christine leaned forward. And for the first time since this all started, her voice didn't shake. "Then we fight." Dana gave a small, approving nod. "Then we file." Within 24 hours. It was done. A lawsuit. Official. Stamped. Filed under one name that no one ever expected to see: Brown versus Brown. A civil case. Fraud. Deception. Control. And once it was filed, there was no going back. Because what started as a hidden document in a dusty drawer was now about to explode into something much bigger. Something public. Something unstoppable. The lawsuit was supposed to be quiet, discreet, controlled, strategic. But within 48 hours, it exploded. Headlines flooded the internet faster than anyone could contain them. Major outlets like TMZ and People magazine pushed the story to the front page, turning a private legal battle into a national spectacle. Sister wives turn on Kody, explosive fraud case filed. Secret LLC scandal shakes reality TV family. And, just like that, this wasn't just a lawsuit anymore. It was a public war. Across Flagstaff, phones were ringing nonstop. Notifications, messages, missed calls. Christine ignored most of them. Janelle turned hers off completely. Mary just stared at hers, unsure of what to even say. Because the truth was out now, and the world was watching. Kody didn't find out from them. He found out the way everyone else did, through a phone call that changed everything. He was sitting in the middle of a casual lunch meeting, barely paying attention to the conversation, when his phone buzzed. His attorney's name lit up the screen. He answered. Within seconds, his expression changed. "You're being sued." The words hit like a punch. Kody froze. What? Christine, Janelle, and Mary filed a civil complaint. Fraud, forgery, financial misconduct. His fork clattered against the plate. That's absurd, Kody snapped, his voice rising instantly. They knew about the LLC. But even as he said it, something in his tone betrayed him. Because deep down, he knew that wasn't true. Back at home, things were already unraveling. Robin was pacing the living room, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. Tears were already forming before Kody even walked through the door. "I thought it was just paperwork," she whispered. "You said everything was handled." Kody brushed past her, agitated. "They don't understand how business works. I was protecting everything." But his words felt weaker now, less convincing, even to himself. Robin shook her head slowly. "They're not going to stop, Kody." And for the first time, that reality actually landed. Meanwhile, Christine's legal team wasn't slowing down. They were accelerating. Subpoenas were issued. Financial records requested. Emails, call logs, account transfers, everything tied to the LLC was being pulled into the light. And what they found was worse than anyone expected. Inside a quiet office, Dana Meeks sat across from Christine and Janelle, a printed email in her hand. "You need to see this." She slid it across the table. Christine picked it up. Her eyes scanned the message and then stopped. It was from Kody, sent his accountant nearly 2 years ago. The subject line alone felt wrong. But it was the body of the email that changed everything. "Keep this between us for now. We'll finalize signatures later. Don't tell Mary yet, she'll complicate things." Christine's stomach dropped. Janelle leaned over, reading silently. No one spoke for several seconds. Because they didn't need to. The truth was sitting right there. Clear. Undeniable. Documented. "And there's more," Dana added. She placed another document on the table. "This notary signature," she said, pointing. "It doesn't exist." Christine frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Dana said bluntly, "there is no registered notary in the state with this name." Janelle sat back slowly. "So it's fake." Dana nodded. "Textbook fraud." The room felt heavier than before. What started as suspicion was now evidence. Strong evidence. Dangerous evidence. "The court date is set," Dana continued. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That was all the time left before everything would be exposed in front of a judge. In front of lawyers. In front of the public. Christine looked down at the documents in front of her, years of trust reduced to paper and signatures that were never real. Janelle's voice broke the silence. "This isn't a family issue anymore." Christine looked up. "No," she said quietly. "It's a legal battle." Across town, Kody stood in his living room, staring at his phone as more headlines rolled in. More articles. More accusations. More pressure. The life he had controlled for years was slipping. Fast. And the worst part? This time, he couldn't control the narrative. Because in just 3 weeks, everything would be decided in one place. A courtroom. Where cameras didn't matter. Where emotions didn't win. Where truth was the only thing that counted. The headlines were still spreading. The pressure was still building. But for Christine, none of that mattered as much as one thing, Mary. Because out of all of them, Mary was the last thread still tied to Kody. The last one who held on when everything else had already fallen apart. And Christine knew if Mary didn't fully step in now, this fight would never feel complete. That evening, Christine sat alone in her living room in Flagstaff, surrounded by stacks of legal papers that felt heavier than they looked. The lawsuit was moving fast. Too fast. But her mind wasn't on the case. It was on Mary. After a long pause, she picked up her phone and typed a simple message. "Please come over. All of us. We need to talk." She didn't explain. She didn't argue. She just waited. Hours later, the door opened. Mary stepped inside slowly, her posture guarded, her expression unreadable. This wasn't the same dynamic they once had. Too much had happened. Too many years of silence, distance, and unspoken tension. Mary crossed her arms lightly. "I don't want this turning into a witch hunt," she said carefully. Christine nodded. "I don't either." And for once, that was the truth. Janelle didn't waste time. She slid a fresh copy of the LLC contract across the table. "Just read it again," she said. Mary hesitated, but took it. The room went silent. Again. But this time, it felt different. Heavier. More final. Mary's eyes moved slower across the pages now. More focused. More critical. She wasn't reading to defend anymore. She was reading to understand. And then she stopped. Her eyes locked onto a single section. The distribution clause. Her brows pulled together. 60% to Kody and Robin, she said quietly. Christine leaned forward. "That's what it says." Mary looked up sharply. "Then where does the rest go?" Janelle answered, her voice steady. "That's the problem. A beat. There's no clear accounting." Mary sat back slowly, processing it. All those years. All those sacrifices. All those moments captured for sister wives. And somehow none of it had been handled the way they were told. "He looked me in the eyes last year," Mary said softly, almost to herself. "He told me everything was equal. That nothing had changed." Christine didn't hesitate this time. "He lied." The word landed hard. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just true. Then came the moment that changed everything. Christine's phone buzzed. An email. Forwarded from their attorney, Dana Meeks. Christine opened it. Her expression shifted instantly. "What is it?" Janelle asked. Christine didn't answer right away. She turned the screen toward them. Mary leaned in and read. It was another message from Kody. Older this time. More direct. More intentional. Route all sister wives' royalties through the LLC. Keep it clean, no emotional entanglements with the exes. Mary didn't finish the rest. She didn't need to. Her hands slowly lowered the phone back to the table. Her face had changed. The doubt was gone. The hesitation was gone. Everything that kept her holding on was gone. "I'm in." Her voice was quiet, but absolute. Christine blinked slightly. Janelle leaned forward. Mary looked at both of them now, her eyes sharper than they had been in years. "If he thinks we're disposable," she said. A pause. "I want the world to know we're not." And just like that, the final piece clicked into place. Not 3 separate women. Not 3 broken relationships. One side. United. The next morning, they walked into Dana's office together. Not separately. Not cautiously. Together. Dana looked up and immediately understood. "Good," she said. "Because what comes next is bigger." She laid out the plan clearly. Financial subpoenas. Full LLC audit. Notary fraud investigation. And, she paused slightly, a motion to freeze all associated accounts. Christine's eyes widened slightly. "Freeze everything?" Dana nodded. "If granted, no one touches that money until this case is resolved." Christine hesitated for a moment. "What about the kids?" she asked. "Some of that money, it involves them too." Dana's expression darkened slightly. "If funds meant for minors were redirected," she said carefully, "that crosses into criminal territory." Silence. Heavy. Real. Because now, this wasn't just about them anymore. This was about something bigger. Something deeper. Something that could change everything. Back across town. Robin paced the floor again. Faster this time. More anxious. "They're not backing down," she said, her voice shaking. "Kody, this is getting worse." Kody slammed his hand against the table. "Going public will destroy us," he snapped. But Robin wasn't even listening anymore. Because fear had already taken over. Fear of losing everything. The house. The money. The image. the control. By the time the first court date arrived, this wasn't just a legal case anymore. It was a spectacle. Outside the courthouse in Flagstaff, reporters lined the steps hours early. Cameras were already rolling. Microphones were being tested. Every major outlet wanted one thing, a glimpse of the moment the Brown family finally faced itself in court. And then they arrived. Not separately, not quietly, together. Christine stepped out first, dressed in black. Calm, focused, unshaken. Janelle followed, just as composed. And then Mary. The same Mary who once hesitated, now walking forward with a quiet strength no one expected. The flashes exploded instantly. Voices shouted over one another. Christine, is this about revenge? Janelle, are criminal charges coming? Mary, why no? But they didn't stop. They didn't answer. They didn't break formation. Until Christine paused. Just slightly. She turned her head toward the cameras, her voice steady, controlled. This isn't about revenge. A beat. It's about accountability. And just like that, the story shifted again. Within hours, the internet was on fire. Clips of that one sentence spread across platforms like wildfire. On YouTube, creators dissected every frame. On Reddit, threads exploded with theories, timelines, and leaked details. Hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Sister Wives Trial, hashtag Brown vs. Brown, hashtag Justice for Christine. What started as a hidden document had now become a global conversation. Inside the courtroom, it was different. No cameras, no edits, no control, just truth. Kody sat at the defense table, his posture stiff, his jaw tight. This wasn't the same man viewers had seen for years on Sister Wives. There was no confidence, no performance, just pressure. And it showed. The hearing began quickly. Formalities, introductions, legal positioning. But before anything substantial could unfold, another blow hit. Christine's legal team filed a new motion. A request for video deposition from a former financial assistant. Her name, Trudy Wells. Someone who had worked closely behind the scenes. Someone who knew how the money moved. When her recorded testimony played, the entire room shifted. Her voice was calm, clear, unemotional. But every word carried weight. I was instructed not to include the other wives on financial communications. A murmur moved through the courtroom. Trudy continued. Kody said they didn't need to see how things were handled, that it would only complicate matters. Christine didn't react. Janelle's jaw tightened. Mary looked straight ahead. Then came the line that changed everything. There were payments, from the show, that didn't come in their names. Silence. Complete silence. Because that one statement connected everything. The LLC. The signatures. The missing transparency. All of it. This wasn't just miscommunication anymore. This wasn't just poor management. This was a pattern. A system. Built intentionally. The judge, Judge Holloway, leaned forward slightly, her expression sharpening as she listened. When the video ended, she didn't speak right away. She didn't need to. The room already understood. This case was getting bigger. Faster. More serious. Finally, she addressed both sides. This matter is expanding beyond its original scope. Her voice was firm. Controlled. I am considering a full forensic audit of all financial activity tied to this case. A ripple moved through the courtroom. A forensic audit. That meant everything, every dollar, every transaction, every hidden move would be exposed. Christine didn't hesitate. Yes, Your Honor. Her voice was steady. We have nothing to hide. Across the room, Kody's attorney shifted uncomfortably. Because they both knew if that audit happened, there would be nowhere left to hide. The hearing paused shortly after. But the damage? Already done. Outside, the media frenzy doubled. Inside, the tension tripled. And somewhere in between, the truth was getting closer. Because this wasn't just about a document anymore. Or a signature. Or even money. It was about control. And that control was slipping. The courtroom felt different that morning. Heavier. Quieter. Like everyone inside already knew this was the turning point. When Kody Brown was called to the stand, the shift was immediate. The man who once controlled every narrative, every conversation, every outcome now walked forward without that same confidence. No cameras to cut away. No edits to save him. Just a witness stand and the truth waiting for him. He sat down slowly, gripping the edge of the wooden box like it was the only thing keeping him steady. Across the room, Christine, Janelle, and Mary watched in silence. No emotion. No interruptions. Just focus. His attorney began first. Simple questions. Controlled pace. Mr. Brown, were Christine, Mary, and Janelle aware of the LLC? Kody nodded quickly. Yes, they knew. They just weren't interested in handling the legal side of things. His voice sounded rehearsed. Too clean. Too easy. He leaned back slightly, trying to regain some sense of control. I took care of the business, he added. That was always my role. But something was off. Even before the cross-examination began. The cracks were already showing. From the bench, Judge Holloway narrowed her eyes slightly, studying him. She had seen this before. Confidence that didn't match the evidence. Then it was time. Dana Meeks stood up slowly. No rush. No hesitation. The kind of calm that only comes when you know exactly what you're about to prove. She walked toward the center of the courtroom, stopping just a few feet from Kody. Mr. Brown, she began, her tone sharp but controlled. You stated that the wives were aware of the LLC from the beginning. Kody nodded again. Yes. Dana tilted her head slightly. Let's take a look at that. The screen behind him lit up. An email. Dated. Timestamped. Impossible to ignore. Dana read it out loud. Let's keep this between us for now. I'll bring the wives in later if necessary. A ripple moved through the room. Kody's posture shifted instantly. Dana didn't stop. She continued. It's easier this way with just me and Robin signing. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Dana stepped closer. Does that sound like someone involving his family in a business decision? Kody swallowed. That's taken out of context. Dana raised an eyebrow. Oh. She clicked again. Another line appeared. They wouldn't understand the strategy. This time, no one moved. No one spoke. Even the air felt frozen. Judge Holloway leaned forward. Mr. Brown, she said firmly, you will answer clearly. Kody opened his mouth. Closed it. Then tried again. But nothing came out. Because for the first time, he wasn't controlling the story. The story was controlling him. Dana turned slightly toward the judge. Your Honor, she said, we also have evidence regarding the signatures. She lifted a document. A notarized affidavit from a licensed notary who refused to validate these signatures because none of the individuals were present. Another wave of murmurs. And furthermore, Dana added, handwriting analysis indicates that these signatures were added after the fact. That was it. The moment everything shifted. Judge Holloway's expression hardened. This court takes forgery very seriously, she said. If proven, this extends beyond civil liability. Kody's attorney jumped to his feet. Objection. Speculative overruled. The judge's voice cut through the room like glass. She looked directly at Kody now. You will answer the questions presented to you. Across the courtroom, Christine leaned slightly toward Mary. He's losing it, she whispered. Mary didn't respond. But her eyes never left him. Because they all felt it. That shift. That moment when everything he built started to collapse. Dana stepped back slightly. And, Your Honor, there is one more witness. She paused. Let it land. Robin Brown. Kody's head snapped up. For the first time that day, real panic crossed his face. Because this was the one thing he didn't plan for. The bailiff called her name. And slowly Robin stood. She didn't look at Kody. Not once. As she walked toward the stand, something in the room changed again. Not tension this time. Something deeper. Something final. Because everyone understood what she said next would decide everything. The room held its breath. As Robin Brown stepped toward the witness stand, the energy inside the courtroom shifted into something almost unrecognizable. This wasn't just another testimony. This was the moment everything could collapse. Her heels echoed against the floor, slow, uneven, uncertain. She looked different. Smaller. Not in presence, but in certainty. The woman who once stood firmly beside Kody Brown now looked like someone carrying the weight of something she could no longer hide. She took the oath. Sat down. Still didn't look at him. Across the room, Christine, Janelle, and Mary sat completely still. No reactions. No whispers. Just watching. Dana Meeks approached carefully. No aggression. No pressure. Just precision. Mrs. Brown, she began, her voice calm. When the LLC was created, did you personally see Christine, Mary, or Janelle sign those documents? Robin hesitated. Her fingers tightened slightly around the edge of the stand. Then no. The word barely left her lips. But it landed like thunder. A quiet ripple moved through the courtroom. Kody shifted in his seat instantly. Dana didn't pause. Were you told that their signatures had already been obtained? Robin nodded slowly. Yes. By whom? A longer pause. A deeper breath. Then Kody. The silence this time was heavier. Colder. Final. Dana stepped closer. Did you question it? Robin's eyes dropped. I asked once, a beat. He told me it was already handled. Through the accountant. That everything was done properly. Dana tilted her head slightly. And you believed him? Robin swallowed. Yes. Across the room, Christine didn't move. Janelle's arms tightened. Mary closed her eyes for just a second. Dana's voice softened, but only slightly. So you signed, knowing they weren't present? Robin's voice cracked now. I trusted him. That was the moment. Not loud, not dramatic, but irreversible. Because in that one sentence, she didn't just explain her actions. She exposed his. Judge Holloway leaned forward, her expression now sharper than before. Mrs. Brown, she said firmly, are you stating under oath that Mr. Brown misled you during the formation of this LLC? Robin looked up. And for the first time, there was no hesitation. Yes, Your Honor. Kody's face changed instantly. Tension. Shock. Something close to panic. The judge continued. Did you financially benefit from this arrangement? Robin's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Yes. Another note written. Another piece locked into place. Dana didn't stop. She moved in for the final question. Mrs. Brown, did you ever see any of the other wives give consent, verbally or in writing, for this agreement? Robin shook her head slowly. No. And just like that, the entire structure collapsed. Because now it wasn't just documents. It wasn't just emails. It was testimony. Under oath. Kody leaned forward suddenly, whispering urgently to his attorney. But it didn't matter anymore. The damage was already done. Dana stepped back, her job complete. No need to push further. Not when the truth had just walked in and spoken for itself. Judge Holloway looked directly at Kody now. Her tone no longer neutral. You submitted a legal entity that included signatures from individuals who did not sign. She paused. You diverted income tied to those individuals into accounts under your control. Another pause. That constitutes financial fraud. Kody snapped. They walked away, he shouted suddenly. They left the family. I held everything together. I paid the bills, I managed everything. Why should they still get anything? The words hit the room hard. Too hard. Because he realized it instantly, he said too much. Dana's lips curved slightly. Not in humor. In confirmation. So this wasn't strategy, she said calmly. It was retaliation. Across the room, Mary whispered under her breath. There it is. Janelle shook her head slowly. Christine didn't blink. Years of confusion. Years of silence. Years of wondering what went wrong, all answered in one moment. The judge called for a recess. The gavel struck. Voices immediately filled the room. Reporters rushed out.